There was something special about growing up in the 1970s. Long before screens ruled the world, kids made their own adventures, in backyards, basements, and sidewalks. Toys weren't just playthings, they were wild, weird, and sometimes downright dangerous. And nobody seemed to mind. Looking back now, it's hard to believe some of the stuff we were allowed to play with. Today, we are dusting off the attic and taking a look at 10 toys from the 70s that would definitely be banned today. Some were unsafe, some were unhinged, but all of them were unforgettable. 1. Lawn darts, backyard fun, with a warning label. If you grew up in the 70s, chances are you or someone you knew had a set of these. They were called lawn darts, or jarts, and they looked like oversized darts with heavy metal tips. The idea was simple: toss them into plastic rings on the lawn. The reality? They could, and did, send kids to the ER. After several serious injuries and even a few tragedies, the government stepped in and banned them in 1988. But if you were lucky enough to survive them, they were a summer staple, right next to lemonade stands and bug zappers. 2. Clackers, the bruised knuckles badge of honor. Clackers were two hard acrylic balls on a string, and the goal was to swing them up and down until they smacked together like a Newton's cradle on caffeine. They were loud. They were hypnotic. And they hurt like heck. More than one kid walked away with bruised wrists or flying plastic shards in their face. Eventually, they were taken off the market, but for a brief, noisy window in time, clackers ruled the playground. And if you mastered the rhythm, you were basically royalty. 3. Creepy crawlers, cooking up trouble. It was part science project, part nightmare fuel. The creepy crawlers set let you pour colorful goop into metal molds and bake up your own bugs and creatures. The catch: the Thingmaker oven reached over 300 degrees, and burns were just part of the fun. Still, there was something magical about peeling out a gooey spider with your name on it. Hot? Yes. Hazardous? Absolutely. But back then, we just called it hands-on learning. 4. Atomic Energy Lab, radioactive playtime. Believe it or not, there was a toy that came with real uranium. The Atomic Energy Lab was a science kit that let kids experiment with radioactive materials. No joke. It included samples of uranium or a Geiger counter, and instructions on splitting atoms. It didn't last long. Safety concerns and common sense finally won out. But for a moment, science class felt a lot more like a Cold War thriller. 5. Battlestar Galactica missile toys, the danger of imagination. In 1978, kids were obsessed with Battlestar Galactica. The toy ships looked cool and came with spring-loaded plastic missiles you could fire at imaginary enemies. But one of those tiny missiles turned into a real-life tragedy after a child choked on it. After that, toy companies changed the rules on projectiles forever. It was a turning point, a moment that reminded everyone that not all danger comes with a warning. 6. Chemistry sets, chaos in a box. Back then, chemistry sets were the real deal. They came with glass tubes, mysterious powders, and instructions that read more like a Bond villain's to-do list. You could make explosions, mix acids, and test reactions. No gloves, no goggles, no adult supervision. It was thrilling, messy, and sometimes terrifying. Eventually, tighter regulations turned them into much safer, much less exciting versions of their former selves. 7. Slip and slide, summer's favorite bruise maker. Just unroll it, add water, and dive headfirst into fun. What could go wrong? Turns out, quite a bit, especially if you were over the age of 12. Kids who hit a rock, landed wrong, or outgrew the thing risked serious injury. By the 90s, warning labels were slapped on every box. But back in the day, the slip and slide was the crown jewel of every backyard bash. 8. CSI fingerprint kit, fun with a side of asbestos. This detective kit looked harmless, just a little fingerprint powder, some brushes, and crime-solving fun. But hidden inside that innocent grey powder was a dangerous ingredient: asbestos. At the time, no one really understood the risks. By the time they figured it out, the kits were pulled off shelves. Today, it's a cautionary tale about what we didn't know, and how much we've learned since. 9. Belt buckle derringer, tiny gun, big problem. This one was part toy, part fashion accessory. The belt buckle derringer looked like a regular belt, until it flipped open to reveal a spring-loaded toy gun. Meant to be a spy gadget, it was more than enough to get a kid suspended, or worse, today. But in the 70s, it was just one more tool in a kid's make-believe arsenal. These days, toys that look like weapons are strictly off limits, and probably for good reason. 10. Space hoppers. Bounce first, ask questions later. Big rubber balls with handles, bright colors, and a promise of pure chaos. Space hoppers, or hippity hops, were every kid's ticket to bouncing joyfully through the yard, or straight into a wall. They were unsteady, impossible to steer, and led to more than a few wipeouts. But man, were they fun. They still exist today, but with age limits, safety guidelines, and none of that original reckless spirit. The 1970s were a different kind of childhood. No helmets, no warning labels, and very few limits. Sure, some of these toys were risky. Okay, maybe all of them were. But they gave us stories, scars, and a kind of fun that just doesn't exist anymore. If you grew up with any of these, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your stories. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time on American Rewind, where every trip down memory lane comes with a smile, and maybe a few bumps and bruises.